from around 2004, 2005, all the way to 2014, the Kenyan economy was growing on average at a rate of 6-7%. And the minimum we achieved is 5%. And so many changes happened in Kenya, if you recall. That is the first time we saw a superhighway, for example. The Thika Spy was built that time. There was massive growth in terms of road expansion. Yes, the middle class residential area started growing. You remember a place like Upper Hill, which is now looks like the epicenter of the business in Nairobi, was just now expanding and expanding. There's so much that was happening that was clearly saying that the way things were being done in Kenya were changing. More and more people were getting to the middle class, more and more people had money to spend. That's the time even middle class eating places started becoming very successful and became trendy. So it was a time even for the service industry, whichever it is, to up your game. You have to do things differently. People now started even going to, for example, to import furniture all the way maybe from Dubai. Would they come to Kenya with this very expensive furniture that now they want to be moved in pickups by people who don't even know what they are doing, or they don't even care, or they are not trained. So I knew and I could see that there was demand. There's people who want proper services to be rendered. It will cost more than what they would do using the other means of moving, but it will be different. I had also done my research and I checked in the developed economies, either the middle class, the middle economies, the so-called, what we used to call the second world. And I could see trends. As a country grows economically, services emerge and products emerge. So I had this belief that once you start a product or a company, so long as you keep your word, you do the right thing all the time, you will succeed. People say that customers are always right, isn't it? When you are creating a business, you should sometimes think that actually customers and clients are clueless, because you are the one creating it. You create something, you show the value and deliver the value, and that grows the business. It would be a lie if I said I didn't experience the doubts or people telling you, oh, don't do that, stick to where you are, you never know what is going to happen next. You have kids in high school, suppose the business doesn't work, what are you going to do now? Yes, those are very, very strong forces. And sometimes you can go even without sleeping for 2 days, thinking, especially when you start, because you see those, you always have those teething problems. They do happen. I remember there's a friend of mine who I told her what I'm doing, and he got so scared and he couldn't talk to me for a few months. You see, he would tell me later he was so scared even to speak to me because he was thought that I would not make it. But if you read every entrepreneur's journey, there are very, very few who started without those kind of challenges. In the moving and relocations industry, I don't think they are really big deals because, one, in our country, the industry is not developed. Sometimes you go and you tell somebody, oh, I'm a mover. Huh? What is that? They can relate to somebody who sells clothes. They can relate to a barber, a shopkeeper, a hotelier, somebody who does laundry, somebody who's in general transport, a matatu, but they don't understand moving. Even very big corporates, it is still a concept. Sometimes when we are bidding for jobs, even in large organizations, we have to take them through the process. They don't even understand it. We do consultancy for moving ourselves. We quote for you as a company, and we go ahead to explain to you even terminology. Even this is what this has happened. This is how this goes. If you don't do this and this will happen. Some things look basic, but they are not. And when the job is all done is when they realize, by the way, it was not as easy as I thought. So we have done big jobs, yes, but it is more of not quite deals, but it is more of about, first of all, creating awareness, people to appreciate what you do. The most memorable work I would say I would remember us doing at Nellions that I keep remembering all the time is that when Pope Francis visited Kenya in 2015, they required his luggage to be handled by a moving company, and we were selected. That was very, very humbling. It was when he was going out, so we were called and we were contacted by government functionaries a few days, I think 2 or 3 days before, and we were told to assemble our trucks and to have a team to handle this luggage all the way from the town and collect it from various places and take it to the airport, because they believed to be able to handle such a high profile guest of the country. That was very, very, very humbling for me. And I keep on, I'm a Catholic also, so maybe that's why it also resonates with me, because I was even given a rosary that he blessed, and he gave it to somebody to give it to me. One of his aides gave it for given to me, and I really appreciate. So that's what I felt as a unique thing, because we didn't know anyone. It was not something that was put as a tender. We just got a call and told, you are told, can you come to this place? We want ABCD. And we were given a job. And after it was done, we were asking, how did all this happen? So, yeah. Going on the day-to-day, the thing that has really worked here is people. If you ask anyone the signature of a moving company, they'll tell you a truck. Oh, I see their trucks on the road. So and so's a moving company. Yeah, I have seen their trucks. Yeah, that's a moving company. What I can tell you for free is that the moving company is what you see on the road, but what moves people is actually people. A truck is just a means of transport. You can use anything to put your goods on and move it, but do you have the people who know what it takes to handle a refrigerator? Do they know the do's and don'ts of moving a refrigerator? Do they know how you prepare that to move that refrigerator before you even attempt to lift it up? Because a refrigerator is very essential. Almost every home will have one. You won't it working on the move day in the evening. It is very easy to damage it. So, what has worked to me is we made a rule here as a company that our number one resource is going to be people. Number two resource is going to be people. Number three is people. So we came up with a way of actually a program of recruiting the right people and training them. We created Nellions Academy, which is a training academy for movers. Everything is changing. The furniture we are having in Kenya today is probably 50% different from what we had 10 years ago. Yeah? And it's going to change again. How do you keep up? Are you going to be learning these things every time you find in a new house, in a new client, then you start learning there now? How? Oh, this is new. So we try to keep that pace. The client's demands are also people are very, very exposed. Most of our clients are travel people, people who are very, very exposed. They expect the service they get in an airline when they are traveling in Kenya Airways, going to wherever. They expect to see that in a mover, because that is a lifestyle. That's how they live their lives. So how do you measure up to that? So people, investing in people, getting the right people, training the people, encouraging people, creating a culture that is first people like to work in, and a culture that is inviting them to be part of a team, a culture whereby everyone feels listened to and everyone can give a voice and they are heard. Very, very, very important, because it's all about people. I struggled in my former business. I used to work in building culture very, very much. And I tried even consultancy, even asking people, management consultants out there, how do you do this, how do you do that? And I didn't realize that in our country, it is a very, very difficult thing. There are not even enough resource people out there to help you. And even the people who have done it right, and there are many, there are quite a number of large, especially large organizations who have done their culture right. But sometimes it goes and drops because of maybe the person who was driving it has left. Others have succeeded because of the strong will of the founder and what they wanted, and people believed in them. So when we came to Nellions, I struggled with that a little bit. And I read a number of books. People would say that culture is part of HR, and I don't think so anymore now. It is like the whole. It's like the DNA of an organization. It's not about the strategies you are going to make and your strategic plans and what have you. So what I decided to do after thinking, and it's now I can say it's worked, is to make this thing of culture building one of our daily activities. That a lot of the things we do have to help us build our culture. What I can say about culture building is that if the head of the business is not involved, forget it. If the top guys up there are not involved, forget it, because it's a thing for the rest of the people. And it's not the top gets involved actively. It's not getting involved in terms of getting reports. It is doing what you expect others to do. One time I went for a psychometric testing on leadership. I was given very high scores on certain fields. But then there was one field I was given very poorly. I was rated very poorly. And I was told to read a book. I was recommended to read a book called Why Should Anyone Be Led by You? And I bought the book, I read it. It was very, very helpful. I think I came from that background of where leaders are supposed to be somewhere on top, and the rest of the human race is supposed to follow them without asking questions. I was not lucky when I got employed. My first job, we had such an organization. Actually, my first two employers, we had such an organization whereby the top guys were completely unreachable. You wouldn't reach them. You wouldn't. Very, very, if you happen to greet them by hand, you count yourself very, very lucky on that day. And since we were young and these are the people we are aspiring to be, you think that is leadership. So over time, mainly through reading books, and maybe sometimes watching business programs, especially international ones, I came to learn that leadership can be all sorts of things from what you want. So as I continue on the journey, I have learned to become more interactive. I appreciate every single day that every person who wakes up to work with you has their own story that they are trying to write, have their own thing they want to express, have their own history that has formed them and is very relevant, and everybody wants the best out of themselves. So today I look at the role of a leader, first of all, is that person who has to make himself very clear to be understood what is required by the entire organization, not just the people, managers who report to them, because if the managers who report to you do not buy into you, they will also distort the ones who are down there and the whole thing is broken. So, then from there, and then they have to identify, obviously, the right people to be in the right positions, which is not easy, again. So before you start saying, this is what I need, this is what I need done, if the person you are telling those things cannot decipher your signals, you'll not make it. But if you have the right team, putting the team together is, again, you have to have a good style of working with people. And I like to say that, maybe it's a cliche, but I believe it is true, that people do not work for companies. People do not work for organizations. People wake up to go and work for the managers who are their supervisors. One time, about 3 years ago, or 2.5, we moved a client, and the move did not go well. This particular client was a foreigner. He was speaking French. He was not fluent in English. And his background was he had a spouse who would speak English, but the spouse was not there most of the time, who was the English-speaking one. So the French-speaking one was there most of the time. But the move did not go well, and part of why it never went well is that the communication was not good, because this person was not able to speak English, and most of the communication was not properly understood. So when this did not start going well, this guy started getting angry, and he started shouting at the people. And the movers started freaking out and tried to avoid now. Things went quite bad, and they ended up taking shortcuts, not doing the right thing because this client is shouting. They can't understand the French, and the spouse was not there. Then when the spouse would come, she would be told all the bad things by this. And then now she also gets at the people, and it didn't go right. So we had a list of complaints. There was nothing like theft on that, but it's just simple things. I think some items, actually a couple of items, I think a wall got scratched in the process. And and we had to paint the house. I think there was a breakage of an item or stuff like that. This client was very, very annoyed. And the referral had come from somebody who was very happy with us. Then, we like to review, to resolve all complaints that we would have from clients. So we were very keen on doing this. So then during the process of trying to resolve it, it moved in very slowly. Again, there was a bit of these, I think our movers came and reported to their bosses that client is very, very hostile. Even if you talk to them, you'll be, and there was a lot of fear about handling the client. So I decided to take it up myself. So I listened, and we talked, and we resolved the case, but the client was still not, it took a bit of time to believe that I was genuine in what I was there to do. We resolved, and she was happy. Then I called her one day and told her, now, because you are very, very unhappy, I feel we made this mistake. This was a fault, this was our fault, this was our fault. I wrote like 7 or 8 points, which were our mistakes. And she had told me she would never want to see that, even if she would move with us again, she would never want to see the people there, the people on the team. I told her, I agree with all that, but I'm requesting you one thing. You come and give a talk in our academy. You come and say all those, this is what I think that hurt you, and it's past us now, but can you come and give us a talk? Look into those people into their eyes. What do you think went wrong on your move, why you felt the way you felt. She asked me, are you sure you want that? I said, yeah, yes, I want. She told me she would never imagine anyone in their right mind would like a client who is not happy to come and talk to the staff. I told her, you are very exposed. You have moved all over the world. She was a head of an organization somewhere, a successful organization. This is the only way you can help me also. And this is the only way people would understand that you are human. Even our movers will see that you are a human being. The small little things we could do, even though we are doing them as transactions now, how they affect you as a person. So she agreed to come and give a talk, and we agreed to meet at 7 a.m. And I assembled everybody, and I told them that I have a client. I've got somebody who's going to give us a talk. Sometimes we invite external people in the academy to come and give a talk, depending on the subject. And I didn't tell them who it was. And when she appeared, and some people almost fainted. Some people almost fainted. It was something that changed us, changed the team, changed the entire organization, even changed our training. We even came with a script of what the lessons we learned from that particular client, from the way she said it herself. And even now, sometimes we recite those 11 points that came out of that particular talk that she gave that day. She told me also she thought it was crazy, but at the end of the day, she was very, very happy, and we maintained our friendship, our relationship.